Okay, as a preliminary matter, this is Brian Sullivan, Chair of the Affordable Housing Trust. Permit me to confirm all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Let's see. Penny Dye.
Here.
Rima Sherry.
Here.
Brooke Moore.
Hi. Yes.
Okay, great. And I am here. Moving on to staff. When I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Haley Cook.
Here.
Vicky Marsh. Tucker Holland.
Here.
And Ken Boger.
Present.
Great. I don't think we have any anticipated speakers. Good afternoon. This is an open meeting of the Affordable Housing Trust is being conducted remotely pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. For this meeting, the Affordable Housing Trust is convening via video conference via the Zoom app as posted on the town's website identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and all attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, be aware that other folks may be able to see you. Screen share. All materials provided to the members of the body are available on the town's website. Please follow along on the posted agenda. We'll turn to the first item on the agenda for clear ground rules of effective and clear conduct of our business. We'll introduce each speaker, include their remarks. We'll go down the line of members. Provide any comment or motion, please hold until called. Remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. Remember to speak clearly, help generate accurate meeting minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you. State your name before speaking. Members wish to engage in conversation, please do through the chair. Items with public comment. After members have spoken, we'll forward public comment to those members of the public that have joined the meeting via the Zoom app. Members of the public who wish to speak must state their name and be acknowledged and speak to the chair. Finally, each vote will be taken by a roll call in this meeting. Okay, so that. Sorry, I lost the agenda. So I guess I'll look for a motion to approve the agenda as it's written.
So moved.
I'll second.
First from Penny, then by Rima, by roll call, Penny Dye,
Hi.
Rima Sherry,
Aye.
Brooke Moore,
Aye.
Meg Browers, I see you've joined the call.
Aye.
Okay, great. So agenda is, and Brian Sullivan's and I, so the agenda is so approved. We'll move to item number 3, the additional funding and documentation for 31 Fairgrounds Road. Review and action. Tucker, do you want to open or kick straight to Vicky?
I'm happy to have Vicky lead us through this.
Okay, great. So hopefully everybody's had an opportunity to see the documents and review them based on our last conversation with Vicky. Vicky, anything you want to touch base on or enlighten us?
So Brian Turbot asked that we prepare these in 2 separate batches rather than just one. So I have 2 sets of documents. I have a set of documents, which is an amendment to the original documents, an MOU, a promissory note, a grant and loan agreement, and a modification of the mortgage. And that's for the first request that was made for funding. And then the second request, I have a set of documents, a second amendment to the MOU, second amendment to the promissory note, second modification to the mortgage, and a second amendment to the grant and loan agreement. So there's 8 documents here. The funding for each. So the first transaction was for a request for $1,766,000. I think Tucker had said to me that their request actually was for a different amount, which I can certainly incorporate in here, but this was what the amount was that we were originally working off of. And so from your meetings and approvals originally, you would agree to $810,000 was going to be awarded in a grant. And then the loans were going to be $856,000 for redesigns of the project. And then $100,000 was also going to be for infrastructure for solar panels to be installed at a later date. And so these documents reflect that. They also reflect the fact that the loan is going to be at the rate of interest of 0.5%, 1/2 of a percentage point, and that will not be amortized into years 51 through 57 of what is the original loan and the original maturity date. And they would then have to commence payments for that in years 51 to 57 to pay it off. And so that's for the first transaction. And then the second transaction is for a
Do
total
you want
of,
to,
Moving.
let me just-
Vicky, can you hang on one second? I think Brooke wanted to address a question about the first transaction.
Sure.
Go ahead, Brooke.
I just have a quick question about, so that I can be clear on what that means, that it's amortized in years 51 and 57. So does that mean that no interest accrues for 50 years and then it starts accruing at year 51, or it accrues but is not payable until 51 to 57?
So my understanding is that it doesn't accrue interest until years 51 to 57. Okay. But they're gonna be required to pay this off, during that period of time, if we think that that's going to happen. So that is the transaction as it's structured, and that is the way it is for both of them. And the rate of interest was the same as the original note.
Thank you.
Is that what you
the chair.
expected it to be?
Yes, and I just wanted that to be clear to everyone, as a matter of public record. I just wanted to have that clarification.
Tucker, I'll come to you and then to Penny.
It was just a amount of clarification of something Vicky mentioned there. This loan one, everything is absolutely correct in terms of the numbers. It's the second loan that we'll get to that there's a $212 difference.
That was my question, so.
Yeah.
So any other questions, comments? The documents, quite frankly, they really only change as far as with respect to the amount of the grants and the loans. The documents themselves that we had originally prepared are still in full force and effect. There is still a mortgage on the same property. And what is happening when you read the modification of the mortgage is that the total loan amount is now increased. So, as each modification gets put on record, that loan amount increases. And so then, by the end, we're up to the full amount. Penny?
Yeah, I have a question through Brian to Tucker, I guess. Thanks, Brian. Tucker, what percentage of this is of these two, of the whole thing is loans, and what percentage is grants? Do you know that?
Well, after we incorporate the second additional tranche, 82% of the total construction funding will be a loan and 18% would be grant.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Brooke.
And that's outside the grant for the acquisition of the land, correct?
That does not include the land.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Penny.
Or the development fee.
That would be inclusive of that fee. Are you speaking of the 550?
Yeah.
Yes. Those would be incorporated into those numbers.
Is that clear, Penny? Did you want to follow up on that?
I thought that the cost of the land and the development fee was outside of the construction cost.
Well, we're looking at the total. The land was looked at as 3.6.
Yeah.
And then there's everything else. So it would be included in everything else, we look at as the construction, related to the construction that will happen there and is happening there. So that fee would be incorporated into the construction portion.
Which is split up between the 18% and,
Yeah, the 82. No, I get
right,
that.
82. Any other questions there? Seeing none, Vicky, I'll come back to you.
Mhm.
I guess kind of work our way through all of them and then we can look for motions.
Sure. So then the second transaction is for a total of $1,763,000. And that is going to be awarded in $1 million as a grant for the additional construction costs, and then $763,000 as a loan. The same terms apply for the second request as they do for the first. And so the documents are basically the same, with the exception of the amounts and references to, now in the second amendments, the documents also reference the original amendments that I've made as well.
Go ahead,
So-
Tucker.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just wanted to point out, so now the total amount of the, that's on the loan for the mortgage that's recorded, so it's secured for $8,469,000.
And so I'm clear on that, Vicky. 1/7 of that roughly doesn't amortize until year 50. And is paying and amortizing right away, and then the remainder.
So on this one, you mean on the second one? Yeah, that's right. So these two loans do not amortize until year 50, starting 51 to 57, and will be started to be paid at that point in time.
Tucker?
Yeah, so this is the one, I just want to make sure the number we're all working with is 1763212.
Okay. I'll make that change. Okay.
Thank you.
Are there any more questions for Vicky or Tucker? Go ahead, Brooke.
What form should the motion be in if we're ready to make one?
Haley?
Yes, I just wanted to briefly state for public record that the packet materials are from the previous one from last night, and that there are some errors, and that additionally there will be updates based on this conversation and these motions, and that we will put a new packet online for the public if they would, want to go back and look at it. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Haley. Penny?
Yeah, do you want this voted as one vote or two votes?
2 votes, please.
Thank you.
So be looking for a motion. Did Brooke, are you looking for a setup on that from Vicky? Vicky, if you would mind with the language?
Yes, please.
Excuse me. We hereby vote to approve and authorize the execution of a request for additional funding in the amount of $1,766,000 in the form of a grant, in the form of grants and loans. And we hereby authorize the execution of the documents. To accomplish said purpose. And we also authorize the chair or the vice chair to execute the documents on behalf of the trust. Does that sound right? I don't know if it does.
Penny, I'm
Just
gonna
may-
come to you, Penny.
Yeah, just maybe as an amendment to the memorandum of understanding.
Yeah, or we could just excuse me, rather than just saying documents, that we will authorize we approve and authorize the execution of the amendment to the memorandum of understanding, amendment to the promissory note, amendment to the grant and loan agreement, and a modification of the mortgage.
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
I'll
so I have a
second it.
motion,
I'll second.
motion from Brooke, second from Penny. I just have one statement. I think in it, it was chair and vice chair. If this is time sensitive before the 5th of January, I'll need the vice chair to sign to execute. Because I'll be away.
So we could say chair or vice chair. How about that?
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you. By roll call, Penny Dye.
Haley has her hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry, Haley. Thank you,
Yes.
Tucker.
Sorry, I don't know if this is necessary, but when Vicky made the motion, she did not say the correct figure for the number. And I just want to make sure that we are voting on the correct number.
That's the first one, right?
1,766,000.
That was correct.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're voting on, okay, my apologies.
No problem. Any further discussion on the motion that was seconded by Penny? Hearing none, vote by roll call. Penny Dye. You're on mute, Penny. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I'm talking to myself. Aye, sorry.
Reva Sherry,
Aye.
Brooke Moore,
Aye.
Meg Browers,
Aye.
and Brian Sullivan's and I. Great. So now we'll move over to the second document, which will be amended with a new figure, which I didn't write down, but somebody else is going
I
to
did.
follow in. Okay, great.
1763212.
Oh, right.
1736212.
6-3.
1,763.
Just, Brian, that needs to go onto the loan portion, not the grant portion, that 212.
Okay, great. So Brooke, do you want to make a similar motion?
Yes. So I move that we approve and authorize the amendment to the MOU, the amendment to the grant and loan agreement,
Second amendment.
Second amendment, right?
the second amendment to the MOU, the second amendment to the loan and grant agreement, the second amendment to the mortgage. And what was the last document? Help.
Promissory note.
And a second amendment to the promissory note in the total amount of $1,763,212 to be divided as $1 million of a grant and $763,212 as a loan to be executed by the vice chair or vice chair.
Chair or vice chair.
Chair or vice chair.
Yes, chair or vice chair.
Thank you, Brooke. Is there a second?
I'll
Second.
again. Yeah.
Second from Rima, a vote by roll call. Penny Dye,
Aye.
Rima Sherry,
Aye.
Brooke Moore,
Aye.
Meg Browers,
Aye.
and Brian Sullivan's and I. Vicky, thank you for getting us to the table with all that documentation. I know that was a Herculean effort.
I appreciate your editing also. I really do. I need a good editor. So,
That's Penny.
so thank you. I'm glad that we got this done. So
I see, Mr. Cassidy, do you have a comment? Billy, you're on mute. Your hand went down, but you're on mute.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to say that I really, really appreciate everybody's extra effort to make this happen, and thank you.
Understood. Thank you, Billy. With that, we'll move on to, I think there's a public comment, or excuse me. Other business regular meetings, we have one scheduled for January 17th. Any comments, additions, changes to that? Seeing none, close that item, move to item 5, board comments. I think Brooke, you have a comment. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to speak with the board about my thinking on, we've been moving forward the amendment of our trust document language to add or further define affordable and attainable housing. And we had also proposed that a home rule petition be added to the warrant this year to make, to have the CPC enabling legislation amended in the same way. I'm feeling that the timeline on that is much too tight, given that I will not be able to even introduce this idea to the CPC commissioners until January 17th. And I learned that the select board is meant to finalize the warrant the following night. So given that we're not requesting any new funding from the CPC this year, I feel as though we have plenty of time to engage in a longer conversation with both the commissioners and our legislators and other communities. Laura Silber had mentioned at our last meeting that heading to the State House with a united front from other communities on CPA language change might make that process easier. And I think we need some time to sort of sort that out as well with other communities. So I just wanted to give you guys a heads up that I'm not planning to ask for that article to be put on the warrant for this year's town meeting. And I know we can't discuss it, but hopefully that's amenable to the group.
In my role as chair of the CPC, I cannot thank you enough for that, because the process at the CPC has gone through in the past with respect to stuff left a bitter taste in their mouth. And so coming to them with this as a proposal that we need to look at and have enough time to be able to figure out is really, really a decision on your part. And I want to thank all of you on this committee for agreeing to that, because it's a way to be able to make this happen very smoothly and gains terrific support from the CPC, which could not have happened if we had to jam this on a short notice. So personal thanks from me, but also from the committee.
Sorry, thank you, Ken. Any members of board members have any questions for Brooke or? No, seeing none, move on from item 5. Any other comments? Public board comments? Great. I'll look for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Somebody? From a motion for Brooke, second from Penny by roll call. Penny Dye.
Hey.
Rima Sherry,
Aye.
Brooke Moore,
No, I'm kidding. Yes.
Meg Browers,
Aye.
and Brian Sullivan's an aye. All right, everybody, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vicky.
You're welcome. Thank you. Happy holidays.
Yes, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody.